Exposed. The heartwarming moment a black girl revealed a hidden camera, transforming a billionaire's heart. Maya stood in the park where she had spent countless afternoons laughing and playing with her friends, her heart racing as she spotted a glint of silver among the trees. It was a hidden camera, discreetly aimed at recording the lives of her neighborhood, the one that was often forgotten, the neighborhood where her mother worked tirelessly to support them. Her throat tightened. Fear seeped through her like a chill. Who was watching? What were they capturing? But then it struck her, the power of this machine. This was more than just an intrusive eye. This was a chance to tell their story, the real story that lived in the cracks of their joyful laughter and whispered struggles. Maya had seen the faces of her neighbors, the heroes who quietly fought their own battles every day. She thought of Mrs. Garcia, who fed half the kids in the street on her meager salary, and Mr. Johnson, who kept the local basketball court alive with his mentorship. The camera, instead of shrouding them in secrecy, could shine a light on their lives, their resilience, their hopes. Daring to dream of change, Maya felt a swell of determination. This camera could expose the truth that Mr. Sinclair, a billionaire with big plans to bulldoze their park for luxury condos, couldn't he possibly see. As the block prepared for a showdown with Sinclair and his project looming over them, Maya gathered her friends in her living room, piles of colorful papers scattered on the floor. They plotted and planned, voices shimmering with excitement and fear. If we don't show him who we are, he will never notice. We have to make him see, Maya urged, her eyes sparkling with passion. The nights spent with her mother taught her about sacrifice, community, and the importance of standing tall together. That spirit burned inside her now, radiating hope and courage. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the day of the public meeting approached, Maya felt the weight of the hidden camera steadying her like a calm anchor. But uncertainty gnawed at her. Would Mr. Sinclair understand? As the crowd gathered, murmurs filled the park, the familiar faces, the neighborhood warriors ready to fight for their home. Maya stepped up, heart thundering in her chest, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She could hear the rustle of the leaves, feel the warmth of the sun on her skin. She locked eyes with Mr. Sinclair. His polished shoes and arrogant demeanor felt like a wall between them, but she couldn't back down. The camera bore witness, not just to her, but to everyone standing behind her. As she drew in a deep breath, the world seemed to pause. Would her voice rise above the tension? Would he finally see the brilliance, the beauty, and the undeniable strength of her community? With one powerful word, she felt the hope within her ignite. This was just the beginning. Maya hesitated for a brief moment, her heart racing as she felt the weight of every pair of eyes in the crowd. The air was thick with anticipation, but she drew strength from the people surrounding her. Each face told a story of resilience, of struggles that had shaped this very community. Every smile reminded her of the warmth that had always welcomed her home. The microphone felt foreign in her hand, smooth and cold. She steadied her breath, looking out to the sea of familiar faces. There was Mr. Johnson, arms crossed, a faint nod of encouragement, and Mrs. Garcia, who wiped her hands on her apron, ready to listen. They all believed in her, and somehow that belief pulsed through her veins. Mr. Sinclair, Maya began, her voice stronger than she expected. This park is not just grass and swings. It's where dreams were birthed, where friendships bloomed, and where love resides in every family dispute and ecstatic victory. Her words flowed like a river, buoyed by the current of her community's stories. This is our home, and we refuse to let it disappear. Gasps fluttered through the crowd as she continued, encouraged by nods and whispers of agreement. She could see Sinclair's face tighten, and for a moment, she felt a flicker of doubt. But she shut her eyes briefly, drawing inspiration from her mother's teachings. What do you see when you look here? Do you only see profit? Her voice cut through, sharp and clear. Because we see beauty, strength, laughter, and a legacy built over generations. The crowd erupted in murmurs of support. Maya pressed on, eyes aflame. You may have riches, Mr. Sinclair, but wealth isn't just measured in dollars. It's the richness of community, hope, and resilience. Maya gestured toward her neighbors, each of them invaluable, each heartbeat harmonizing with hers. Instead of tearing us down, help us thrive. Invest in us, not to profit from us, but to empower us. Sinclair's expression flickered, a glimpse of uncertainty crossed his eyes. Just as quickly, though, his mask hardened. He opened his mouth, words escaping like a slow leak from a balloon, but the crowd refused to let him trump Maya's voice. She could feel the energy shift, a palpable charge among her community. The camera aimed at them, this hidden witness of their authenticity would tell their story, showing the world the truth of their lives. With every word spoken, the stakes rose higher, and her courage grew stronger. As the crowd started chanting her name, she felt her resolve deepening. This was their moment. They had finally been heard, yet that lingering uncertainty about Sinclair's reaction clung to the air. Would he dig in his heels more than ever, or would this be the turning point? Maya paused, looking directly at Sinclair, challenging him. What will it be? Will you stand with us or against us? Her heart raced at the question she had just put forth, knowing it hung in the air like an unlit firework, waiting for a spark. And at that very moment, as the crowd held its breath, the unexpected flicker of realization crossed Sinclair's face. Could it be that she had cracked the wall he had built around him? An uncharted territory loomed ahead. What would he decide? Would he acknowledge the vibrancy of the life around him, or would he retreat behind his wealth? The answer lay ahead, and Maya felt the thrill of an impending reveal. Sinclair's lips pressed into a thin line, a battle clearly raging behind those carefully crafted features. The crowd awaited his response, eyes wide with a mixture of hope and apprehension. Maya felt every heartbeat, syncing with the anxious rhythm of the group. They were all in this moment together, one voice rising from a multitude, and it filled her with a fierce urgency. Do you really want to know what I see? Sinclair finally spoke. His deep voice emerged steady, but his eyes flickered with something curiosity, perhaps. Maya nodded, wanting to hear his truth, and she could sense the crowd holding its breath in unison. I see a thorn in the side of profit. His tone shifted just slightly, carrying an undertone of disdain as he emphasized the word profit. A quaint little park with a quaint little community that wants to keep clinging to the past. A murmur of disagreement rippled through the crowd, but Maya raised a firm hand, signaling for silence. Mr. Sinclair, you may think it's quaint, but this is our past, present, and future. You talk about profit, but we're talking about lives intertwined, about families who find solace here. Her voice trembled with emotion, passion igniting her pleas. Yet, if you only see dollar signs, she continued, you'll remain trapped in your own world, oblivious to the beauty surrounding you. The crowd responded with a wave of agreement, heads nodding fervently, fueled by her conviction. Sinclair appeared taken aback by her fire, but he didn't retreat. What do you want from me? He asked, almost sounding as if he genuinely sought an answer. Maya squared her shoulders and took a deep breath. We want you to invest in us, not because of profit margins, but because we matter. Change the narrative. Bring resources, programs, and jobs that uplift our community. Help us thrive. Her voice rang with sincerity, echoing the unwavering spirit of everyone behind her. Sinclair's expression shifted, almost imperceptibly. He glanced at the faces of the people around him, the despair mingling with hope in their eyes. Could it be that, for a moment, he was really seeing them? I'll think about it, Sinclair said, almost in disbelief. A collective gasp slipped from the crowd. Think. Just think. Maya exclaimed, her heart eager to leap into the unknown. Was it really that simple? Let us not kid ourselves, he said, skepticism creeping back into his tone. But you certainly have my attention. Just remember, this is a business world, and you need to keep that in mind. Maya felt a mix of frustration and victory. She could see the tiniest crack in his facade, a glimmer of potential change. We can grow together, she said, her heart racing with the thrill of progress. The right kind of investment can bring both benefit to you and growth for us. The crowd cheered, waves of emotion surging through her. Could this be the start of something new? Could Sinclair really change? Could he join them? As the camera continued to roll, she could feel her message taking shape. But even with this spark of hope, there lingered uncertainty. Would he truly follow through? As Sinclair turned to leave, she held her breath. The crowd buzzed with excitement, yet a chill whispered through her thoughts. What if this was just a game, another round of empty promises? Would they watch their dreams slide away as easily as they had begun to flourish? Wait, she called out, her heart pounding once more. You can make a difference, please don't walk away. Sinclair paused, his shoulders tense with indecision. This was their moment, and Maya knew it. Would he finally embrace the community or retreat again, leaving them in the darkness of uncertainty? The questions hung heavy in the air, and Maya felt a familiar knot of anxiety. What would this choice reveal about him and about them all? Sinclair stood there, tension radiating from him like heat waves on asphalt. His hand rested on the car door, poised, yet somehow unwilling to let go of the moment. Maya's words hung between them, charged with enough energy to electrify the air. She could almost hear the heavy thud of her heart as she searched his expression. Was this true? Could he really change his perspective? The crowd leaned in. Each person mirrored her anticipation. Hope danced in their eyes, but it was tinged with fear. They had been let down too many times before. Smith, later on, scoffed into the crowd beside her. Hope isn't the same thing as action, Maya. Hold on. Sinclair finally broke the tense silence, his voice resonating through the charged atmosphere. You think this is a simple choice, don't you? He shook his head, almost to himself. It's never just about me, you know? There are freelancers, contractors, so many layers. Everything we discuss triggers evaluations. It's a dance of numbers. Then let's be honest, she fired back, her determination renewed. It's about whether you choose to support the people who work tirelessly to make this community thrive or not. Numbers or no numbers. Behind her, the crowd murmured supportive agreement, some individuals raising fists, others nodding fervently in solidarity. Sinclair looked back over his shoulder at them, analyzing their faces, their hope mixing with desperation. It was almost palpable. You want my resources? He finally said, leaning against the door. Fine, but what isn't it for me? You talk about thriving, about growth, where's the ROI? What guarantees can you provide me? For a moment, Maya felt her heart sink. Could this really be wrapped back into cold business metrics? Did he truly not see the value in the people standing right in front of him? She stepped forward, finding her resolve anew. The return is not just in numbers, Sinclair. It's in creating a community that empowers the next generation. It's in the kids who will walk these paths instead of those marked by despair. It's in creating a future where everyone wins, not just a select few. Sinclair's eyebrows raised slightly, surprise flickering across his face again. There was a moment of silence where both sides sifted through new possibilities. The air felt thick, as though time had slowed down. Then Sinclair straightened, shaking off the moment of contemplation. Look, I'll give you this, Maya. I'll talk to my team. We'll explore what the possibilities are. But no promises. Maya struggled to contain her excitement. That's all I'm asking, for an opportunity to show you what we're capable of. The crowd erupted again, their cheers echoing down the block. Today felt different. It felt like a shift, but that nagging doubt still clung to her. Was this the kind of promise they could trust? A sudden thought struck her, compelling her to call out once more as Sinclair turned back to his car. Can you at least promise to meet with us again, and not just for a photo op? She felt fierce urgency coursing through her veins. We need to keep this conversation alive. He paused, glancing between her and the dwindling crowd. Fine, I'll give you a time. Reach out to my office. Just don't inflate your expectations too high, all right? With that, Sinclair's car door closed, leaving a cloud of dust and uncertainty hanging in the air. Maya's heart raced, an electric thrill sparking within her. It wasn't a full victory, but it was a step afoot in the door. As the remnants of cheers faded, she wondered how to keep the fire alive. She felt the weight of the burden pressing down, and yet, a flicker of hope remained. How could they maintain this momentum and ensure they were still heard? And beneath that hope lingered another question. What kinds of hurdles awaited them on this path? Would they be ready to face whatever challenges arose? Maya took a deep breath, looking back to her community. Let us get to work, everyone. We're just getting started. But little did she know, the real challenge might come from within their own ranks. Maya gathered her thoughts, knowing they had a long road ahead. As she faced the crowd, Bubbling with excitement from Sinclair's unexpected openness, she noticed the faces of her neighbors. Some were weary, others hopeful. They mirrored her own mix of determination and trepidation. "Okay, everyone," she called out, lifting her hands to gather their attention. "We've got an opportunity here, and we can't waste it. Let's brainstorm ways to make this meeting with Sinclair impactful." Smith, who had been silent in the background, stepped forward. "We need a solid plan, not just ideas thrown together. What can really showcase the value of our community? He needs to see our results." Maya nodded vigorously. "Absolutely. We can highlight our successful projects, the mentorship programs, the community gardens, the small businesses that are thriving against the odds. We need tangible evidence of what we can achieve together." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Maya felt their energy shift. They were ready to work. Before long, discussion turned to logistics. People threw out suggestions, fueled by a mixture of optimism and urgency. Creatives sketched out ideas for a community showcase, while others organized a donation drive to support local initiatives. The changes felt monumental, and with each proposal, the crowd grew more excited. But as the planning unfolded, a troubling thought pricked at the back of her mind. How could she ensure that they were focused enough? Achieving their goals felt imperative, yet she worried about the internal tensions that often threatened to divide them. Would everyone stay committed to a common vision, or would competing interests start to rear their heads? Later that evening, Maya walked home, her mind racing with thoughts. She smiled at the little ones playing hopscotch on the sidewalk, their laughter echoing in the air. Each giggle reminded her of the stakes involved. These kids were the future. They deserved better. Once inside, she collapsed onto the couch, fatigue washing over her. Just then, her phone buzzed an alert from the community group chat. "Did you see Smith's post?" It read, "Let's focus on our personal agendas before working with Sinclair." Maya's heart sank. She pressed her lips together, anger bubbling up. They had just agreed to be united, yet here was a hint of division creeping in already. "Not this again," she muttered to herself, typing a quick response. "We need to stay on course if we want this to work. It's about all of us, not just a few." Her frustration spiraled as she paced the room. What if their chance to change things hinged not just on Sinclair's support, but on their ability to remain united in their vision? That thought gnawed at her. Would they be able to withstand the pressures that came with newfound hope? In that moment of vulnerability, doubt blurred the excitement they had just built. She tossed her phone aside, her heart heavy. Surely, it wasn't up to her alone to keep everyone on track, was it? As she laid back, her thoughts wandered to Sinclair. If he really was serious about helping, they needed to put their best foot forward. But what would happen if they faltered? Or worse, if infighting weakened their position before they even had a chance to present their case? A deep breath slipped from her lips. The path forward felt more treacherous than before, shadows of doubt creeping in where there was once brightness. Tomorrow would be critical. They needed a clear agenda and a solid front. But how to address the growing rifts before they turned into fractures? Maya closed her eyes, a wave of uncertainty washing over her. Could the dream they shared survive the challenges looming just around the corner? And just like that, she realized something. The battle wasn't only with Sinclair. It was with the unseen barriers that lived within their community as well. As dawn broke, soft light streamed through the window, casting gentle shadows across Maya's room. She awoke with a sense of urgency, her thoughts racing back to the previous night's chat. Smith's suggestion echoed in her mind, vibrating with the weight of its implications. She had to act fast if she wanted to steer the community toward unity. Maya got up, her feet hitting the cool floor with a resolve that pushed aside her unease. Today couldn't be about individual agendas. It needed to be about their collective future. Her heart leapt with purpose as she brewed a pot of coffee, the rich aroma awakening not just her senses, but also a growing sense of hope. She grabbed her notepad and began jotting down ideas, channeling her nervous energy into a clear vision for the meeting. After a quick shower, she slipped on her favorite outfit, something vibrant that reflected the enthusiasm she felt. She scrawled in bold letters at the top of the page, "We are stronger together." It felt important, a mantra to remind both herself and her neighbors of the strength that came from unity. The atmosphere in the community center was buzzing even before the meeting began. As neighbors filtered in, some greeted each other with warm smiles while others clutched their phones, glancing nervously at the clock. Maya felt the tension nab at her from various directions. She took a deep breath, projecting calmness, as she approached the front of the room. "Thank you all for being here. Today is essential for our future," she began, her voice carrying the weight of shared dreams and collective hopes. She scanned the crowd, seeing familiar faces that had shared countless struggles. "But we need to set aside our personal agendas for now. Sinclair is coming, and we need him to see how strong we are when we stand together." A loud murmur of agreement rippled through the room, but it was quickly followed by Smith raising a finger. "Maya, with all due respect, we can't ignore that some of us have different needs and priorities. We shouldn't bottle that up." Maya felt a knot tighten in her stomach, but she kept her composure. "You're right, Smith. We should acknowledge everyone's needs. But if we let those differences drive our focus today, it could undermine everything we're trying to achieve. How do we find common ground?" Another voice rang out. "Can we put together a shared list of everyone's agenda items? We can review it and prioritize what's best for the community." This suggestion ignited a flame of hope in Maya. "Yes, let us start with that. I can facilitate the discussion. It doesn't have to be an argument. We may find that we all want similar outcomes. We just have different paths to get there." The crowd shifted, more responsive now. Each neighbor began listing ideas, the room humming with dialogue rather than debate. Maya felt a surge of momentum. It was working together. They were charting a way forward, smoothing over the rifts. But as the meeting progressed, Maya noted Smith's furrowed brow. Despite the growing sense of unity, he seemed increasingly skeptical. His skepticism was like a shadow that loomed just behind her success. She couldn't let it fester. She must reach out and bring him into the light. "Smith," she called, as the group took a pause to collect thoughts. "I see you're worried. Talk to me about it. What can we do to help?" He hesitated, glancing around the room. "I just don't want us to overlook the challenges that each of us faces. I fear that while we're focused on presentation, some issues will still go unmet." Her heart ached for him. Maybe today was not just about the meeting with Sinclair. Perhaps it was also about rebuilding trust. "You're right, and it's important to voice those concerns," Maya said, her voice steady. "I need help with that. Can we incorporate time to address those needs in our presentation? Let us showcase both our successes and our struggles." The crowd began buzzing again, but this time it felt productive. Smith's shoulders relaxed visibly, and soon he was nodding along with the others, their shared energy rebuilding. Community bonds. As the discussions continued, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that today was a turning point. The stakes were higher than she ever imagined. They were not just fighting for Sinclair's support. They were taking a stand for their identities, their needs. What if Sinclair didn't understand the depth of their struggles? What if they exposed their vulnerabilities only to be dismissed? Before she could spiral into fears, a voice caught her attention, a child's laughter drifting in from the hallway. The laughter sparked something in her, a reminder of why they were all there. She resolved to channel that innocence and determination. They needed to show their strength, both for themselves and for the little ones who would shape their community's future. But as the meeting drew to a close, she sensed the uncertainty lingering like a fog. How could she ensure Sinclair didn't overlook the complexities of their vibrant, yet challenged lives? They had come so far, but the true test would be standing tall when it mattered most. Tomorrow they would meet Sinclair. Would they rise together, or would the old divisions pull them apart just when it seemed they were starting to heal? The question gnawed at Maya, pulling her back into the depths of uncertainty, readying her for the next challenge. Maya awoke the next day with the sun streaming in through her window, but the warmth felt different. It wasn't just the daylight. It was the adrenaline racing through her veins. Today was the day they would face Sinclair together. She took a moment to breathe deeply, trying to calm the storm of thoughts swirling in her head. The meeting was not just about presenting their cause. It was about surviving as a community. After another strong cup of coffee, she put on her boldest outfit yet, a statement of strength she felt she needed to project. The phrase "we are stronger together" still echoed in her mind, a reminder of what they were fighting for. As she walked to the community center, the sky seemed to mirror her emotions, with clouds swirling anxiously but promising a break in the tension. She spotted a few neighbors congregating outside, faces a mixture of excitement and anxiety. They were all there for the same reason, willing their hopes into tangible outcomes. "Maya," a voice called out. It was Janelle, a single mother of 3. Are we ready for this? Maya smiled and nodded, shaking off her own jitters. We've got this, Janelle. We're presenting our community as one. That's what matters. As they entered the community center, the energy pulsated throughout the room. Leaders from different groups were already there, sharing their strategies in hushed tones while the clock ticked down to Sinclair's arrival. Every glance exchanged among neighbors carried weight. They all felt the rising tide of desperately needed change. Smith walked over, and although his expression was still serious, there was a flicker of determination in his eyes. I've been thinking about our list. It's important we cover every angle, especially the tough stuff. Maya's heart warmed at his commitment. That's what today is about. Share the good and the bad. We need Sinclair to see all of us, our struggles and strengths. As they finished finalizing their presentation, the door swung open, and Sinclair stepped in. Instantly, a hush fell over the room. There he was, the man who held the power to alter their fate. Thank you for having me, Sinclair began, his voice rich yet steady. I know the purpose of today's meeting is to present your case for support. Maya felt the collective inhalation of the room. This was it. She stood up, heart racing, gathering her courage as she began. Sinclair, we appreciate your presence. We represent a community rich in diversity and strength, but also burdened by many challenges. We're here to share our truth. One by one, neighbors spoke, recounting personal stories of hardship intertwined with triumph. The room filled with emotion, laughter breaking out as hope intertwined with the sadness of their struggles. Maya felt the strength of each person's voice melding into a powerful chorus of resilience. But then, just as the momentum reached fever pitch, something shook the foundation of their unity. A voice cut through the air. That's all well and good, but how do we know you'll really be our ally? A skeptical resident eyed Sinclair, the doubt pinned clearly on his face. Maya's heart dropped. She could sense the shift in energy, that old division creeping back in. Sinclair's expression hardened slightly, surprised by the accusation. Smith stepped forward, ever the mediator. What we're trying to say is, we need a commitment from you. An honesty about what that looks like. We can't go back to being invisible. Maya watched as Sinclair shifted, the weight of their request settling heavily on him. Would he rise to the occasion or dismiss their calls for transparency? As tension thickened in the air, Maya held her breath, unsure of the direction this pivotal moment would take. What if this was their last chance to lay their truth bare? Would Sinclair see their vulnerability as strength? As the clock marched on and Sinclair considered his response, Maya's heart raced, caught between hope and despair. Would their united front withstand the pressure, or was this meeting on the brink of unraveling? Sinclair stared back at them, his face a mask of contemplation. The room hung in suspense, an electric silence that amplified every heartbeat. Maya could feel her palms tingling, warmth flooding through her as she held everyone's gaze, willing him to understand. Look, Sinclair finally said, breaking the silence, his voice steady but cautious. I can see the passion in this room. I see you. I hear you. The gravity of his words anchored hope in Maya's chest. But just as she felt the tide shift, Sinclair continued. However, it's easy to say that alliances are formed just through words. Actions speak louder. Maya's courage flickered. Could they counter that challenge? She thought of her neighbors, their sacrifices echoing through the room. She saw the determination etched on Janelle's face as she encouraged her children to rise despite the odds. She felt the life in Smith's voice as he urged for unity. How could Sinclair not see that? Sinclair, Maya interjected, her tone a careful blend of urgency and resolve. We know what we've lived, what we can do together. We need a promise, a partnership built on real commitment. Her heart raced, pulling her words from deep within. At that moment, a boy who had been quietly sitting in the back stood up, eyes wide and questioning. Mr. Sinclair, he said, his voice wavering but strong. What are you going to do to help us? I'm scared. His gaze swept across the room, landing on each face that mirrored his own trepidation. I don't want things to get worse. Maya's heart hitched. There it was, the raw vulnerability that connected them. Suddenly, the weight of the room shifted again, this time towards Sinclair. The child's honesty cut through the tension, exposing wounds that lay bare between all of them. Maya felt her heart swell and ache simultaneously. Sinclair's expression softened, his eyes glistening as he regarded the young boy. I understand, I truly do. I was once your age, and I too felt fear. But change is a process. You must trust me. I promise I will work with you. The sincerity in his voice held promise, but doubt lingered in Maya's mind. Could they really depend on him? Just then, an unexpected murmur broke the tension as several community members chimed in, their voices overlapping. What does that mean for us? How will we know it's real? We can't wait any longer. Each voice carried a sense of urgency, a desire for tangible action rather than mere words. Sinclair held up his hands, urging for silence. Trust is built on transparency, and I will bring my team here to answer all your questions, to support your project, your vision. I will commit to regular meetings with this community. Maya's heart raced again. It was a start, but would he be enough to heal the rift? The room buzzed with a mix of relief and skepticism. But deep down, something shifted. The burden of latent distrust lightened slightly with Sinclair's commitment. Everyone began speaking amongst themselves, sharing whispered hopes and still hanging doubts. Maya could see that spark igniting again, slowly pushing back against the shadows of doubt. Smith stepped forward, urging calm. Let us not lose this moment. We need to mold his promise into action. With renewed energy, they began discussing concrete steps they could offer, projects they wanted to propose, the support they needed, the voices they wanted to uplift. As discussions started to flow, Maya felt her role evolve from mere participant to an emerging leader. A flicker of determination ignited within her. They would not only hold Sinclair to his word, they would ensure their stories became part of the fabric of that word. Then, just as they began outlining their ideas, Janelle spoke up. What if we asked for a community fund? Something that gives us power and responsibility as well? Maya's heart raced at the suggestion, the power of her neighbors' collective voices washing over her. They were no longer just a group pleading for survival, they were a community demanding change. But as Sinclair nodded, signaling his willingness to consider their proposal, a sinking feeling hit Maya. Would he truly follow through when the time came? As they turned to strategize, a nagging thought lingered in the back of her mind. How long would it take for their voices to become actual reality? As new ideas flew around the room, the atmosphere throbbed with unspoken possibilities. But when would they hear those words materialize? Or would this just be another moment that slipped through their collective fingers? The clock ticked on, each second heavy with unanswerable questions. Maya's heart surged with renewed energy, but fought alongside a heavy uncertainty that now weighed more than ever. Would they truly emerge stronger together, or were they still standing on shaky ground? As the meeting continued, Maya found her voice battling to rise above the rest. She could feel the progress, but she also knew the gravity of what was still at stake. And at that moment, she quietly wondered if this bold new chapter would be the one they had all been waiting for, or the beginning of an even more challenging fight ahead. The meeting buzzed with energy, a chorus of ideas straining against the walls, each voice fighting to be heard. Maya felt the electric pulse of hope weaving through them, but it was intertwined with a knot of anxiety. Could they really trust Sinclair? Was this the beginning of something real, or just another empty promise whispered in a fleeting moment? Guys, she finally shouted over the growing murmur, her voice cutting through the noise. Everyone turned to her, the room falling silent again. We need to make a plan. Not just ideas, but a roadmap to set those ideas into motion. Smith nodded, his eyes alight with agreement. We can't just hope he'll come through. We need to hold him accountable. The room stirred with renewed purpose, and voices chimed in, each one vibrant and alive with potential. Let us form a committee to keep track of our proposals. Janelle suggested, her passion infectious. We should monitor progress and make sure Sinclair delivers. Maya's heart swelled at her neighbor's optimism. It was profound to witness their transformation from hesitant individuals into a united front. They were no longer just sharing fears, they were drafting a future. Okay, let us outline our top 3 projects, Maya urged, rallying the group. What do we want to focus on first? They started calling out ideas, a whirlwind of possibilities filling the air. Someone suggested a mentorship program for local youth. Another proposed community gardens to foster food security. Each idea blossomed, their collective energy igniting wild aspirations. As excitement swirled, Maya felt her pulse race. This was the moment she had dreamed of. The community was finally ready to take charge. But just then, a flicker of doubt sparked in the back of her mind. Would Sinclair genuinely champion these projects? Would he see through their vision? Let us not forget, she said, trying to temper the whirlwind of excitement. We need to ensure every voice is heard, every story valued. We've all lived through something that brought us here. Let us include everyone. Just then, the boy who had spoken earlier stood up again, his timid voice quivering in the heated atmosphere. What if it doesn't work? He asked, his eyes wide, innocence brimming over. What happens if we don't get help? Will we just be left in the same place? His words landed like a stone in the air, a stark reminder that hope could also carry the weight of fear. Maya felt her heart clench. I know it's scary, but if we band together, if we hold fast to each other, we can push through anything. We can make him see us. There's strength in numbers, Smith chimed in, his voice steady now. Let us make that clear to Sinclair. We're not merely asking for aid, we're demanding partnership. The room began to hum with anticipation again. They all understood that their voices mattered, and Maya felt a deep connection to each person in the room. They were in this together. The discussions flowed fluidly, each idea merging into the next. By the time they outlined their plans, a shared sense of determination enveloped them. There was laughter, inspiration, and a flutter of visions skimming across their minds. However, as they prepared to cast these ideas into the world, a shadow clouded Maya's heart. What if their voices went unheard, left to fade away again? What if Sinclair dismissed them? Suddenly, a loud knock from the door burst through their bubble of hope. Eyes darted to Sinclair as he stepped back inside the room, his expression unreadable. Was he here to support them, or to silence them? Maya's breath hitched. This was their moment, a culmination of struggle, hope, and tenacity. She could feel the weight of their collective dreams pressing against reality. Would they finally break free, or would this be yet another chapter in their ongoing fight? Let us make sure he knows who we are, she whispered fiercely to Smith, determination igniting within her. Let us make him see us. As Sinclair approached, ready to address their newly hatched plans, Maya found herself wrestling with an unwavering truth. They couldn't let fear dictate their future. What would he say? Would he join them, or would he turn his back? As his gaze met hers, the air thickened with unspoken possibilities. Would their voices rise, or would they be drowned in uncertainty once more? Sinclair took a deep breath, eyes scanning the room, filled with eager faces. Maya's heart pounded in her chest. The air was thick with anticipation. Every neighbor held their breath, a shared pulse of hope reverberating through them. He finally opened his mouth. I've listened to all of you, he began, his voice a mix of authority and humility. And you've made your point beautifully. But, let us be clear, talk can often be cheap. Action speaks the loudest. Maya felt the tension tighten in the air, the steam of excitement meeting the chill of apprehension. Sinclair stepped forward, hands clasped behind him. You must show me your resolve to make this work. I want to see your commitment as much as I offer my resources. I propose that for every project you present, you gather community support evidence of your unity. I need to see it in person. The murmurs erupted around the room, a mix of astonishment and hesitance. What do you mean? Janelle asked, brow furrowed. I mean, hold town halls, gain backing, create documents that showcase your dreams. Rally your neighbors. Only when I see that you can unite your voices will I consider providing my resources. Maya's heart hitched. It felt like a challenge, a test of their strength, but she wasn't deterred. This was an opportunity. Sinclair needed them to prove their resolve, and, in return, he'd sponsor their projects. We can do that, she shouted, adrenaline surging. We will show you who we are. Then let us set a date. 1 month from today, I want proof that you can drive this movement forward. Sinclair looked resolute, almost invigorated by the proposition. But I want to wait indefinitely. Make it happen, and I'll come back ready to talk business. With that, he turned to leave, leaving a wake of astonishment in his path. The crowd buzzed with excitement, whispering words of agreement and determination. Maya felt the excitement swell. This was their chance. As Sinclair stepped out, she faced her neighbors. You heard him. We have 1 month to bring our community together, to prove we have fight, and a passion that can't be ignored. Cheers erupted around her, a chorus of affirmation crashing over them. They rallied together, discussing logistics of town halls, engaging those in their community who hadn't been involved before. Ideas flew, with energy surging forth as the collective vision expanded. In that moment, baby steps transformed into bold strides. Smith organized a team to design outreach flyers, while Janelle volunteered to gather stories that would resonate with their neighbors who felt forgotten. Families embraced each other, pledging unity. As the weeks flew by, each day felt like climbing a mountain, but Maya felt exhilarated. They hosted meetings, conversations filled with hopes, fears, and shared dreams. Her neighbors began to come together in ways she'd only imagined, sharing their pasts, their stories, finding common ground. Each gathering grew larger. Voices that had once felt small echoed louder. From the earliest days of doubt and division, they weighed each other as strengths, cradled each other as scars, and began to transform them into badges of honor. People painted banners declaring their dreams, their shared goals. Laughter and connection filled the air at the small community-built garden where children played. This was no longer just a fight against Sinclair. This was the battle for their identity, the reclamation of their space. As the deadline approached, Maya's heart soared. They had brought their once fractured community to a place of unity, of pride. People stood tall, empowered by their stories of resilience. On the last day before the meeting with Sinclair, they hosted an open mic night in the park under a glowing sunset. Each story shared resonated deeply, echoing with the theme of community power, strength through connection. As neighbors stepped forward, Maya felt a profound sense of pride wash over her. She was not just the voice of the community, she was part of it. When the final speaker, a quiet girl she'd never seen before, stepped into the light, everyone fell silent. "I'm here because I'm scared of losing this place," she said, her voice shaking. "But together, I feel strong. We can do this." Maya held her breath as the crowd erupted in applause. There it was, the fire in their unity releasing itself into the world. She could see Sinclair standing on the outskirts, witnessing the transformation she had always believed in. Tomorrow, they would present their plans armed with not just ideas, but with the spirit of their community echoing through every word. Would Sinclair finally see the beauty? Would this be the dawn of genuine partnership? The thought sent shivers down her spine. They had put everything on the line, risking disappointment to forge a path forward. As they wrapped up the night, Maya looked out at her community, a rush of joy washing over her. She felt like the weight of the world had shifted. Together, they had created something profound, and in the quiet of that park, under a blanket of stars, there lingered a whisper of hope. Tomorrow, they would rise as one. And just as the stars twinkled brightly overhead, she knew this was more than just a fight for their community. This was a beacon of change, a promise of a future vibrant with possibilities. With her heart full and her spirit alive, she knew they were ready to stand together, ready to shape their destiny. The next day was going to be theirs. Now, before you go, you need to subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now, let us feed that algorithm and show your support. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this incredible journey. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show the world the power of community. Your support means everything.